Chapter 13, Naomi. What a difference 8 weeks make. 8 weeks ago, I had arrived home, fraught with worry about having to resit an exam, worrying about what would happen. Tomorrow, I would travel back to Reading and the day after sit my construction, procurement and contract law exam. I felt ready. I had put in the work. It was time to get this exam over with and move on. 8 weeks ago, I didn't know Lewis, and now I did. But what were we? Friends? Or two people who constantly provoked each other and argued? There had been moments of friendship, and there had been moments of annoyance. At tonight's barbecue, he'd said barely anything, staying to the edges, not engaging in conversation or taking part in the laughter. Even I know you can't attend a social gathering and be antisocial. And I'm not the social one in my family. Although when Mum, Dad and Sarah went inside to tidy up, Lewis suggested a walk on the beach, my favourite place. I needed the vastness of the sea and the sky to chase away my last minute nerves. It was also the perfect opportunity to gauge where things were at with Lewis. The three of us walked in silence, Benji tagging along, probably hoping for a game of fetch. I think Lewis was happy about the distraction. He kept bending down to pet Benji or throw the ball for him. In the warm summer evening, the beach was busy, people sitting on the sand or playing games with friends. We strolled along the shore, watching other groups, laughing at the teenagers who kept throwing their frisbee into the sea instead of to each other. Another group played a game of cards. Joshua and his friends played football. He had waved to us when we arrived, my brother always at the centre of a crowd. It's another of the differences between us. While he enjoys being surrounded by people, I prefer a few close friends. Although in a smaller grouping there was no place to hide. It was obvious Lewis had abandoned his extrovert tendencies for the night. He wasn't just quiet, he wouldn't even meet my gaze. Despite suggesting the beach walk, he remained quiet, his focus on Benji. Maybe I needed to be the one to initiate the conversation, or would he skulk off again if we asked questions? Only one way to find out. I sat in the sand and Ellen and Lewis followed my lead. I cleared my throat. Lewis, what's going on? You're uncharacteristically quiet tonight. He shot a glance in our direction, then sighed. I know, and I'm sorry. I guess I've just been thinking through a lot of things since the last time we spoke. He reached over and rubbed Benji's side, then returned his gaze to me. You were right the other day, and I'm sorry I stormed off when you called me out on it. I pushed you on your issues, so I didn't need to talk about myself. He took a big inhale. So here goes. My favourite thing to do is lose myself in history, reading about ancient civilizations and working out what we can learn from them. My best friend is my mate Liam. We went through school together and are still close. He's now a qualified plumber. He still lives with his parents too, and we hang out a lot. I don't talk about my family because it's a sad story and people don't know how to respond. I don't have one favourite song, I have several favourite songs. At the moment, I'm listening to a lot of For King and Country. I didn't know what to say. That was a considered response to questions I had asked several days ago. I was impressed he could still remember them. I couldn't. What should that tell me? But what could he possibly mean by the sad story? You can't say something like that and then not elaborate. He must know we needed more information. While I pondered how to ask the question, Ellen came right out with it. Why is your family story sad? Lewis released a nervous laugh, scrunched down into his shoulders as he gazed out to sea. My mum died from cancer a few years after I was born. I don't remember her. And my dad has struggled with his mental health ever since. I chose Nottingham University so I could stay at home and be there for my dad. It's always just been the two of us. I get that, replied Ellen. While Ellen offered Lewis encouragement, all I could think about were the times I'd complained about my family. No wonder he got annoyed with me for being negative about them. There are 5 of us, while it's just him and his dad. I wish I wasn't sitting in the middle. This was a conversation for the two of them. How could I be part of this when I had already exposed my selfishness and ingratitude towards my family? Ellen and Lewis were talking, but their words were muffled, as if I was listening underwater. Blurriness crept into my peripheral vision. I wanted to disappear into the background, to sneak away without being noticed, but that was impossible. I took a few deep breaths and tried to re-engage with the conversation as Ellen shared some of her story with Lewis. We moved to Eden Cove as soon as Mum and Dad's divorce came through. I saw my dad occasionally, but it didn't take long until he was happy to waive his visitation rights in favour of spending time with his new family. Why hope for time with someone who doesn't want to see you? As far as I'm concerned, it's just me and Mum. She hugged her legs closer in. I know that can make me sound bitter and hurt, but I'm not. Well, I guess it's hard to be completely okay knowing your dad chose another family, but for the most part, I've made my peace with it. I put my arm around my friend. Her journey had been a difficult one, and I was with her in her early days when the pain of her dad's decision led to a lot of tears. She turned to face me and smiled. Even though she was speaking to Lewis, she kept her focus on me. And the thing that got me through my family drama were the amazing McVitties. They all gathered around me and Mum and invited us into their family, and they also shared their faith with us. Mum doesn't get it yet, but I'm grateful that knowing this bunch also helped me find Jesus. Lewis smiled. You're right, they are a special family. Being part of the McVitie household has been a highlight of my summer. He flashed me a disarming smile that had my stomach flipping. I scrambled for a question to change the focus of Lewis's attention. What's your dad doing while you're here? My aunt lives in a village just outside of Nottingham, and she suggested Dad stay with her for the summer. Give me time to experience life outside of Nottingham. I couldn't resist pushing another question. And are you enjoying life outside of Nottingham? Without hesitation, he responded with a resounding yes, his intense gaze holding mine. Ellen tried to stifle her giggles, but I saw her shoulders shake as my face flamed red. Now it was my turn to look out at sea, flustered under his gaze. I floundered for an excuse to change the conversation. This time I had nothing. Instead, I took the easy way out and prepared to escape. I need to go now. I stood and stuttered my excuses. I've got an early start tomorrow and I need to make sure I've got everything packed. At that moment, Joshua shouted along the beach, Lewis, mate, we need another player. You coming? Lewis turned back to face us. Well, since you're leaving, I'll join Joshua and his friends for a game. I nodded, trying to smile but failing. I immediately regretted my decision. Tonight had proven the perfect opportunity to get to know Lewis. He had finally opened up about himself, and yet our conversation felt unfinished. I should be continuing the conversation, not running away. I hesitated, trying to work out what to do next. Thankfully, Ellen came to the rescue. I'll take Benji to the trees, check if he needs to do anything before returning home. Meet us at the path when you're ready. And she was off. Jogging up to the trees, Benji jumping up and down beside her. I turned around and faced Lewis. We both smiled. Did Lewis feel nervous about it being just the two of us, or was I the only one feeling awkward? What was it to say? Tucking my hair behind my ear, I glanced around the beach, aware other people were close, yet only seeing Lewis. Hearing the sound of seagulls and waves, yet only hearing the pounding of my heart. I had to say something, anything, to move past the awkwardness. I'm sorry if we pushed you to tell us about your family. I dug my toes into the cool sand, wanting to walk away and wanting to stay. Lewis whispered my name, causing me to look up at him. He smiled, then reached out for my hands. I'm sorry I was stubborn and didn't share with you before. I know we'll see each other again in a few days, but I wanted to say all the best for your exam. I know you'll do well. And like you said to me a few days ago, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for a good question paper for you and clarity to answer those questions. Thank you. Joshua was once again shouting for Lewis. Lewis laughed and squeezed my hand. I'll be thinking about you a lot and looking forward to seeing you again in a few days. And with that, he was off, running along the beach to Joshua. What had just happened? I stood with my mouth gaping open. Ellen came racing back down towards me, Benji wagging his tail by her side. So, what happened? She asked, her eyes sparkling as she smiled at me. I have no idea. Looking back, I saw Lewis standing on the beach, talking to Joshua. Lewis looked over and waved, before returning his attention to his fellow footballers. Ellen linked her arm through mine and directed me towards my house. Tell me word for word what he said. I relayed it back as best as I could remember. What does this all mean? I asked Ellen. She grinned as she squeezed my arm closer to hers. It means we're going to have a fascinating time between you coming back from your exam and the start of term. Ellen wasn't helping.